stuff. Okay, I think that should be correct now. Okay, yeah, the mic is on. Okay, we also have today our justice and deputy justices on board for this town hall. It's our third, I think, live stream for this year, and the final one to conclude it. Do let me know how is the mic and visual quality. Just a final check, and then we're gonna kick this off right now. All right. Yeah, the lighting is from our desk lamp. You guys might know this one from Suzerain. It's the famous. It's the light. So yeah, we have the desk lamp from Suzerain here. Okay, so is everything good? All good? All right. So welcome to the Autumn Townhall and Q&A session, everybody. It's a pleasure to have you all here. So we wanted to conclude the year with a nice live stream and talk to the community, connect, and we also have some nice announcements and some updates that we want to give. We've sent out a form that details like what type of questions you can send in, and we have received, I think, more than 70 questions already. So we're gonna go through a lot of the existing questions, but also take new questions at the same time. So thanks for all for joining. And I also want to quickly mention some of the community changes we've made a while ago that have been now building up. And very recently, we had our new deputy justices join the community team. And Marum, Nick, is leading the community moderation effort, who is also going to be doing a small intro and a small talk today, along with some other deputy justices if they want to come on board. So yeah, a big part of what we're building here with this universe is creating an online space where we can share our passion for the game. We listen to the community, and we also we kind of communicate and go have back and forth. We want to create an environment where we can have very deep discussions about the game, but also about other stuff. So having a strong community with like a nice environment is like a big part of our plan, and it's an extra thing we got to be working on. So I thank the deputy justices and everybody in the community who's been trying to create a good space for all types of things. So I'd like to invite to the stage our Swordland's bravest soldier. So I'd love to invite our justice and send him the invite right now. So welcome on stage, and let's kick it off with a small intro and update from your side, and yeah, kick it off. I think we cannot hear you right now, so small mic issue. Oh, okay. While that is being fixed, do hold on for a second. Get some technical difficulties. He got surcast. Well, it's not easy. It's not easy to rise through the ranks in our universe. While Swordland's Bravest is fixing the audio situation, I also want to say that we're super happy to be nominated for Best Story at the German Game Developer Awards, which we're heading to next week. We also have a few other updates. We got also nominated for Cultural and Creative Pilots from Germany. So we got a recognition there that we're going to tomorrow. So it's we're really working hard on the 3.1 update and mobile, which we're going to talk more about today. So there's a lot that's been happening. The Torpor team has grown a bit over the year, and we've also assessed what we can improve and what we can change. There's been some structural improvements, and we're very excited to talk more about those details. There's going to be a State of Torpor Games report released towards the end of the year or beginning next year. So definitely there's going to be some more structural updates. And yeah, more salad. Salad is good. Maintain the salad going. Let me quickly check if Marum is ready to join us again. Or we could have one of the other deputy justices join us. One second. Okay, we'll start with the deputy justices. The issue is being fixed. So I'll kick it off. We have... All right, fighter for Agnosordish rights. We'll have one of our new deputy justices come on stage this time. So let's get that going. All right, welcome to the stage.
Hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Well, hello everyone. Do I do my intro?
Yes, please go ahead. Thanks for joining the community efforts, and do a short intro about yourself and tell us what you like the most about the universe as well, actually, at the end.
Well, hello listeners. I'm sure some people from audience already know me in this server. As a fighter for Agnosordish rights, I'm glad to be a part of this community, same as you. Even though I'm a deputy justice member, I would like to be equal as you. Spend time with the community, ask questions. So even though I'm a deputy justice, I'm the same as you guys. So that's much. Anything more you should ask me, or should I go on to what I like about community?
Yeah, I mean, thanks for your contribution so far. So we really appreciate it. Yeah, we can do share what you like the most about the universe, and yeah, what inspires you from it.
Well, I can proudly say by playing the suzerain, I got the most of my most of my political education about the worlds, about the politics by playing the game. Pretty much got most of my economy, like political knowledge, by playing the game. So, besides the game being very interesting, it is very educational. So I would say it's a great tool to educate people, in my opinion. That's what I like about it the most.
Thanks for those kind words. Really appreciate it. Just a quick follow-up question, and then we can go to the next intro. Why do you think there are, like, because there's a lot of real life politics out there, and there's education and history and a lot of other stuff. Why do you think suzerain like had that impact on you versus or the stuff that already exists, out there that is about our world and in our reality?
Well, I think most people in the world are apolitical and they don't care much about politics. Uh, but what can I say? This game is a great example, I guess, a great political simulator where you can experiment what you like, maybe about, I would say, finding yourself, by finding your true self, pretty much, in my opinion.
Thanks so much for those nice words, and appreciate the intro. Yeah, I'm gonna have like the next deputy justice come on board or Marum right now. Yeah, you can stay here if you want. That's all good because we want to go through a few more. So I'll just quickly get Old Man Mickey invited over here. So let's check. Okay. Pinged as well. While that is happening, I'll quickly give some other updates. So one of the things that I think it's probably going to come up, but it's good to also update everyone on, is that the team has been working really, really intensely on the mobile version, and we've made a lot of progress. And it's super exciting to be able to share that we're in the closed testing phase. So our community testing has begun, and it's underway. So we're very, very excited to bring you mobile very soon. We won't be able to announce a day today, but it's very, very soon. So excited. We're very excited about the progress, and we hope that the mobile audience, as well as like the wider world, will get to enjoy both Rizia and Swordland and all the cool things that have come in the last 2 years. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'll invite Old Man right now, and then we'll continue with the second part of the intro. Hello.
Hey, you guys hear me okay?
Yes, here just fine. Welcome.
All right. Hello, everyone. Hello. I come from you from the grand old land of the US of A. But yeah, no, it's just been a delight to be able to come over and join you guys over here. I've had the pleasure of throughout my time on Discord of just getting to be a moderator for some different large servers, leading some big group efforts. And I love just getting to be a part of any community that really has a lot of value to it. And suzerain was definitely something that came right up for me. I mean, I think understanding a world as complex as politics is incredibly important for this day and age. I mean, America had plenty enough of that without getting too deep into it. It's that just how much we need to be able to understand a world like that. And suzerain not only does it in a way that makes things easier to understand, but also understand the impact of consequences of the choices that we're able to make. And unlike some other choice games that we have, this one actually allows you to see the effects of that instead of shoehorning you into a certain ending. It allows you to see in a more varied place of exactly what what happens when you run the world the way that you choose to with whatever run you do. So that was something that immediately drew that for me, and to be a part of this community and help make it not only a healthy community that everyone can be a part of, collaborate into, and build on. It's just great to be able to also help out you guys wherever I can, because it's a great effort, and I want to see what I can do.
Thank you so much for that very nice intro speech. Yeah, like this is something that is really, really important for us. And, from that specific ground you mentioned, like having a political game, political universe that just, sees the world from this political lens. There is extra responsibility, there's extra weight in building a community that's healthy and it's, fun to be around. So I really appreciate the extra efforts there, everybody who's been contributing, but also on the community side, the amount of content that we see every day come out of Reddit, come out of Discord. And, I say this each live stream, and I think I'll just repeat it every time. We look at all the community stuff like every day, and it's really motivating us. It's improving our feedback processes. It's helping us be creative, but also feel motivated to push through like the more difficult sprints in development. To have this larger base of people who are super passionate about what we're building together, and I think that's been an amazing motivator. When we started, 20 the first Discord server, it appeared in 2019, this one, and there were like 20 people in it. The Reddit was like 5 people. To see how far we've come, like more than 7,500 members on this Discord, more than 20,000 on subreddit. So big props to the community. Without all this effort and energy, it would be super hard to pull through as a company, because it just takes immense amount of resources and passion to pull off such niche projects. So yeah, thanks to you as justices, but thanks back to the community for making this possible.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, I think Swordland's Bravest is still having issues, so I think we can move on to the Q&A while we can just onboard Marum just a bit later. So yeah, you guys can stay on stage. I think it would be fine. It would be nice to have you here. So I think we can just start with the. Oh, okay. Hold on. There's an availability that just came from there. So wait, let me just invite you up to stage then. I mean, you can technically join, I think, by yourself. I'm finding you on the list. Oh yeah, here. Like to speak. There we go. Okay. Maybe this time. Also, feel free to open webcams if you feel comfortable. If not, no worries. That's not mandatory at all on the stage. So invite sent. Again. There you go. Here we go. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we got you.
Okay, perfect. I apologize for the technical difficulties. The internet did not let us sing our songs. They're afraid of the dawn. But our songs will be sung, so don't you worry, everyone. So hello from me. My name is Nick. I have been with the team for just about a year now as a deputy justice and now as a justice. I'm very happy with what we have so far. The community is amazing. As Ata said, the feedback that we receive daily is awesome from everyone. And the questions that we gathered in the Google Forms will also help us in the team see what you guys are most concerned about. And I believe Ata here will be able to provide the answers for you guys. So I hope you enjoy this, and I'll be glad to take any of your questions.
Also, feel free to write your questions in the chat. Thanks for that nice intro, Nick. Appreciate you joining the team and helping out with all of this and organizing. And yeah, so I guess we can slowly move forward to the questions. So I'll start with some of the pre-selected questions. And some of these we've been answering for a while, but I'll just keep answering them because, they're coming up and I think they will never end. But here we are, we got to answer. Number one, will Anton Rain get a second term DLC of sequel with save transfer? This has been something that we've been actually pretty consistent on for a long time. We don't have any second term DLC plans for the Swordland experience and Suzerain. So yeah, that covers that because that cancels out the save transfer feature. The other thing, will mobile now always be updated along with PC versions? So going forward, after the mobile update comes out, we will actually have parity between the two platforms. There are some advantages and downsides to this structure we're doing. So the advantage is, yes, we will release everything at the same time. But because every platform has its own testing needs, we do expect a slight increase in our extra work that we need to do to do cross-platform releases. So we're going to add a bit more buffer time for our release periods, but the benefit of that is we will have way more impact when a release happens than it's across everyone. And that way, this is one subject that I wanted to strategically complete this year. It is to make sure that the community is on the same database. So everybody talks about the same content. We don't have any divergences. Improvements are everywhere. I think that's also good for community unity. So that's a mouthful. But yeah, so yeah, that's the future of that element. The other thing here, the third question. Hello, appreciate your work. Will the Conformist get ever released on Android? And what about the Kingdom of Rizia's DLC for Suzerain? So the Kingdom of Rizia DLC for Suzerain is coming to mobile. We actually have playtested it. We've finished the playthroughs. Our close testing group is actually advancing quite well. There were a few challenges with the war mechanic on mobile, but we tackled a bit of that. So yeah, so DLC is coming, and maybe future DLCs will be coming. So so that's one part of the question. The other part about the Conformist ever getting released on Android or mobile, we're definitely not looking that far ahead right now. The Conformist is a 3D game with a lot more resource-heavy development factors, so it would be quite difficult to bring it to mobile. Or it would like just sacrifice the product, which, you know, the game experience we don't want to sacrifice that much. So it's something that we haven't said anything clear on yet, and we won't make a statement today. Another question: are you content with the current price of the game? In what way the players' feedback and pricing has affected your future setting up for prices for next DLCs and expansions? So one of the reasons why we priced Suzerain initially $14.99 and increased to $19.99 with the 2.0 update was that we saw that there was like a lot of interest about the game, and we noticed that you know, we discount a lot on Steam anyway. So with the new added value, we increased the price, and I think a lot of the community was very receptive and positive toward it because 2.0 was a massive update. And with Rizia, we've actually released at a quite of a cheap price compared to the scale and the complexity of features and everything it includes, where it nearly compares, and it's actually a bit more complicated than the base game from a technical perspective. One of the reasons why we wanted to do this is it was our first DLC, and we produced the DLC basically 3 times faster than we did Suzerain. And the reason is, like, after we formed as a company, we did not have that free time to work on a project like we did on Suzerain. So you just operate under a lot more time pressure, a lot of more financial pressure. So when you need to get things done within a certain time frame, so we had to get it out in that time frame, and we talked about this earlier this year as well. Thanks for everyone for your support and purchasing the Rizia DLC. It allows us to build a strategy for future DLC content. It allows us to operate as a company and improve things in the Rizia DLC and Swordland. So DLC purchases are one of the best ways you can support us as a company. So thank you so much for already having supported us if you already have. If not, there are more ways coming to support us soon, so appreciate that. So the Rizia DLC launched a bit cheaper, and with the 3.1 update and other stuff, we are looking at thinking about pricing changes. Nothing has been set in stone yet, but this is just like a soft upfront mention of that. We're going to talk more about it next year. And next year, our publishing agreement with our publisher is ending. It's ending its contractual term, and we're going to be fully self-published, which means that Torpor Games will be a full-on standalone company. This is a huge step for us to be independent, to create what we love, to have more control over our finances and production. So it's a big step, and with that, we will also look at some of the pricing situations regarding the DLC and other things. There are some pricing changes on mobile that are coming that are going to be a bit different, because mobile is very different than PC and Steam. But we'll talk more about that in the future. So that's a long answer for that question. But yeah, so that's that on that third one. I'll take one more, and then we can maybe take a question from chat. Something that it would be nice if Swordland's bravest can bring some hand-picked chat questions to us from the live chat after I finish this question. So I'm gonna jump into this question meanwhile. What is the biggest priority right now, the Conformist or the next expansion for Suzerain? This is a great question, and I have to say it's neither right now. So the top priority right now is the mobile release, which, as I said, is in close testing and it's in the final stages. And the other top priority is the 3.1 update. It is the largest update we've done from a post-release perspective in such a short time frame. Because 2.0, for example, happened about 2.5 years after launch, 2.5 years after the launch of Suzerain. Whereas we're looking at a much shorter time frame for the post-launch update for Rizia, for this big one. So 3.1 is a huge focus for us, and we have a lot of improvements in the pipeline, a lot of cool new content. So that's going to be a big thing next year. So I'll then slowly lead to Swordland's bravest to pick some of the community questions that we can answer here live, because we've run through quite a bit from the pre-sent questions.
Yes, thank you very much, Ata. One of the questions I'm seeing and I really like is, do you aim to support and expand initial releases of Suzerain like Swordland and Rizia, or focus more on expansion with DLCs?
I think the important thing for us is to be happy with what we've released and have a lot of good work go into it and be at a good place with it. The advantage of having everything under Suzerain and the database rework we've done with 2.0, basically while we were fixing Rizia and doing stuff, we were also while we're working on Rizia, we were also working on fixes to Swordland. Actually, if you go back to all the patch logs that released in right before, after Rizia came out, even before Rizia came out, the final patch log, you can see a lot of Swordland improvements and fixes. So being in the same database allows us to just do a lot of changes, like smaller changes at least, easier. So we're definitely going to revisit some of the other experiences as we build the next steps. We just want to be at a good place where we're satisfied as creators, and also we make sure that the community is satisfied as much as possible with what we've built, so we can deliver consistent quality and work going into the future. It's a hard balance. I have to be very honest, because time pressure, financial pressure, and then we always try to innovate with each experience that we build. So there's also this whole innovative approach as a company that we're pushing for. So it's everything coming together each time. But the good thing is we're working on things, we're on top of things. So making sure the existing experiences are good is a big priority for us. Then comes building the next stuff. And that's kind of the phase we're in right now.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm also seeing a question about the contents of 3.1 update. Will it only focus on Rizia, or will we also see changes for Swordland as well?
So the 3.1 update primarily focused on Rizia. We will see other changes to Swordland in the future. That's something we have planned. But it's way down the list right now because Rizia's priorities are immediate. So we're looking a bit more on deepening that experience, exploring the characters better, bringing some new elements that are kind of unique that you don't have in the Swordland experience. So there's definitely more focus on Rizia right now because it's fresh and there's a lot of feedback and there's a lot of improvement points that we want to make. But Swordland's not forgotten. Our save game transfer strategy and that feature itself is actually all connected to Swordland in a way, as in the universe starts from Swordland and its ripple effects go down the line. And this is something that basically means that every time we expand the universe, we find connections to Swordland again, and we build back into Swordland. And this is something that we want to explore more in the next years.
okay, thank you. I'm receiving a lot of questions right now. I know that uh, more or less I can sum up like 75% of what people are asking is about the lore. Like, how did Suzerain become Suzerain? How did you come up with the names? How is Lackhaven pronounced? I don't know if I'm even pronouncing it correctly. So these kind of questions that players are looking answers to.
So I think the core lore questions maybe we can keep to another dedicated, more lore focused event where we can talk about that. Because a lot of the lore is just creative expression, and having a debate about how it was formed and everything goes a bit more into the granularity of it. There are some elements that need to be defined better. There are some elements that we want to work on more, but it's definitely I think something that we can maybe leave to another moment to tackle and focus more on the immediate elements that are relevant to the community right now. I can take some of the other questions that we have from the preset list, and then we can rotate back. Thanks for everybody for being here again. It's super nice to have this moment towards the end of the year to share. So somebody asked, how long will Torpor Games work on Suzerain for? Do you have a plan to move to other games of the universe other than the Conformists? So this is like something that comes up as well. Honestly, we have a lot on our plate. We are bigger than we were when we started as a company, but we're building an entire universe, and with multiple games with different features, mechanics, stories, characters. So it's pushing on all fronts at the same time. We won't think about anything beyond Suzerain and the Conformist right now, because there's so much to do there. But the universe's potential is massive. But our strategy is build small, build piece by piece, and then something big will happen over time. It's kind of like Rome wasn't built in a day type of mentality. So that's the approach that we're taking. So somebody else asked, will I have to pay for the DLC on mobile even though I bought it on the PC first? The stores between PC and mobile are completely detached. So Google and Apple, they don't even communicate between each other on mobile. But on PC as well, Steam does not have any communication with the mobile platforms. So basically, if you have it on PC, you will have to buy it again on mobile. But the good thing is, with the new mobile version, you technically don't have to buy the game. But it becomes like a bit, you have to watch, you get retention-based rewards, but you also have to watch ads if you don't want to pay. And that's the new model that we're bringing in, that premium removes ads, and if you don't have premium, you can still play, and you can play a bit more, basically for free, with only opt-in intrusion of ads, which means the game does not stop you in the middle of a turn. It's only in between turns, so we've kind of made a really fair system for mobile. But yeah, there is no purchase synchronization between platforms. This is something we might look into in the future if we have our own store, our own platform, or similar thing, but that's a huge magnitude of order of an effort that it's like a dream, like in the future. So it's a good way to support us. If you want to support us as a company, we get the most amount of revenue share in mobile right now. So, and we even have a lifetime pass item that we're dropping just for people who want to support us, who will get all the future content, but it's a really expensive pack. But if somebody wants to throw some money our way, which we would really appreciate, because we just build more of this stuff, mobile is a great avenue to help us right now. Yeah, so that's that. Somebody also got some more questions here. I'll just quick fire go through them. So about the mobile updates release date, very soon we'll announce this, but not today. As I said, all you need to know, we're very close. It's in close testing. A lot of the assets are finalized, so it's getting there. We're super excited. Yeah, we're doing our best on that project. Will the achievement bug for mobile be fixed in the mobile update, like the game achievements in Google Plays? They don't work. Yes, so we have our own profile system on mobile, and we build Torpor accounts, which means that your achievements are now tied to your Torpor account on mobile, just for mobile for now. And we're gonna actually phase out the use of platform achievements. So there's going to be a new achievement system that is going to be tied to your account. Somebody asked, will there be price localization for mobile update? Like, for example, if the price for the game and everything included for mobile is 10 euros, so will this 10 euros be directly interpreted into other currencies and exchanges, like the Hungarian currency, for example? Yes, Google and Apple have currency conversions, so the prices should be changing based on the market you're in. And I think the platforms arrange it per exchange rate, and some platforms sometimes do purchasing power as a metric. So yeah, there will be regional pricing, basically, is the word that most people would associate with. And another question, how does the process of writing a DLC and scenes in it work? Oh, that's a long question. I mean, this could be its own town hall. So one of the most complex things that we do as a company are these dialogues that you experience in the game, and they take an enormous amount of time. Even the simple ones can take like a week. More complicated ones can take a month. So, and we have more than 100 of these in the experiences. So you can imagine how much work there is in those dialogues and all the other stuff. So it takes a lot of time, and based on the complexity of the dialogue, so the less branching it has, the less characters it has, the more clear the topic is, it takes less. The more the complexity increases between the dialogues and the characters and the choices, it increases. We are building one massive multi-branched and very conditional scene right now in the 3.1 update for the late game. It is the most complicated thing we've ever built as a dialogue, as a scene. And we're very excited to see how that unfolds, because it just brings a lot of stuff together. And it's also super ambitious from us, because usually writers used to work on individual pieces of content, which means like somebody would own a scene. This is such a complicated scene that multiple people own multiple things in it, which means they actually work together a bit more tightly, but also it's the biggest thing we've ever done. So yeah, we're excited to experiment in that way as well. But yeah, that covers the preset questions that I've received from our marketing manager, Clem. Swordlands Bravest, do you have any other questions from the chat here, from Discord, that you can pick up for us, or would you like to ask something yourself as well?
Well, I'm seeing a question repeated in chat multiple times. People are asking if there would be a chance for you guys to make a book sometime down the line. People are pretty excited about the lore, so yes.
So
you can see the chat blowing up in flames now. So
I think like a book would be really, really cool for sure. But you know, we're barely managing our own dialogue pipeline. I would love to explore some maybe shorter forms. There's been some theoretical discussions of how we can bring more stuff from the universe out to the world, but it needs to be done in a very good way, and we don't want to have any big impact on our existing pipelines. And as you can tell, Rizia was about a 15-month project, so we do want to make sure that we can get these experiences out in time, and you know, in a good cadence. So we are also looking at other things. If those doors open, we would love to just go to different parts of this universe, and there are a lot of opportunities, I think, to explore different perspectives, different places, characters, moments, and also build further in detail.
Okay, thank you. I think that covers it. Also, people are asking if there would be a possibility for this to take shape in the form of podcasts or something similar, maybe small videos or something like that.
Like a series, like a podcast, where like the universe is being expanded and talked about.
I think so. Yes, people are thirsty for lore. I cannot say I disagree.
I mean, yeah, there's there is a lot of stuff on the lore that we want to look at. The challenge, it does remain. We want to make sure that the production of the dialogues and the lore we need to build for every different element that's on the game pipeline is stable and is maintained. So if we get extra resources, we will look at interesting ways. But it's a big strategic challenge, and you know, we've been always open about the state of Torpor Games videos and live streams, but also in Q&As. It's very important to keep focus and quality, and would love to try more stuff once we, you know, have that extra capacity.
Okay, so another question that's very hot right now is, will the world of Suzerain get an extended map at some point?
I cannot answer that like definitively, but we have an idea of roughly how the world looks like, and there are already some previous points about that of how the world is. So maybe there will be a point where, you know, something will drop, but it's nothing immediate or midterm. There's some cool stuff that we wanna make happen with the map.
We can keep that question and circle back later then.
Yeah.
So let's see. I think we could also probably invite a few people if they want to ask a question.
Yeah, for sure. The stage is open. We've done the intros, so we can invite some on stage to join us and ask some questions directly.
I think the first one who asked is Emmett, so we can let Emmett join the stage. Let me do that real quick.
All right, thank you. So I was wondering if it would. Oh, sorry. Hello.
Hello.
I was wondering if it would be possible for you to clarify what in the Codex is the difference between civil rights and political rights.
That's a very specific question.
It's been bothering me for a long time. I'm sorry.
I think it could be that they're used interchangeably. So, yeah, because I mean, if it's specifically civil rights, then yeah, that's intentional. But political rights are just wider framework. So it could be that like, you know, the person who was writing it then would just use it in a more broader form. So it's nothing to look too deep into, basically. It's probably just just an expression. One thing to consider with Torpor Games, we are an international team, and not everybody's a native English speaker or writer. But we as a company make sure that everybody can contribute in their own way to the projects, and we try to maintain a lot of the support of making their work possible. So there are moments where, you know, some of the words usage might be different because there's another cultural perspective onto the English. So yeah, hope that answers.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's move on. Next up is Rusky Riddle Writer. What an amazing name.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi. Thank you. I'm sorry for my English is not my first language. I just wanted to ask, when we will see the direct diversion between the PC platform and mobile in the Suzerain game? I know the team has been trying to be very close on both platforms, but would we see like any more differences on PC or mobile?
So when it comes to the core game, nothing will change between the two. So we want to make sure that the content is the same. But the experience on mobile is slightly different because it has a few new features. So one of them is the profile system that we've added, which has a level feature, which it displays your political influence rank. You gain XP by playing the game, which then levels you up. And if you level up, you get free story points, which allows you to play the game for free, or watch basically less ads or no ads. So we have other elements like that in mobile. Achievements give you experience and sometimes story points as well. So achievement hunting is rewarded in mobile. So high retention means that you will have less barriers in freemium. So there are some things for mobile in the freemium version, but also, some stuff that helps the premium ownership that will allow that. So there is slight differences in the experience there, but when you get the story pack as a premium in mobile, you basically have just the experience on PC, and then the other stuff is added on top, so it does not take away your experience. It actually just adds a bit more extra. Now you have levels. Now you have extra points that you can gather, and those points are not used for the experience that you own as a story pack. They're used for the other experience that you don't own. So you can actually use the story points that you've made from the purchase of, let's say, Swordland in Rizia to unlock a lot of the turns. So yeah, that's something that's completely new that we've done. But our key thing is we don't want to touch the core gameplay loops. We don't want to touch the core experience. We want to make sure, the experience is just holy and not changeable. The touch feels different though, I have to say. Like it feels cool in some ways, like where you can just use your finger to interact. But yeah, it's there's no structural difference.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question.
Thank you. Okay, I will invite the next one to the stage. Next up is Jakalushi.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
So as you guys make a like a country running game, I imagine it can be quite difficult to portray that. So I was wondering if you guys hired any experts, like people who've worked in government or historians or something else to help with the writing and the setting of the game.
It's a really good question. So when we built Suzerain, we had different connections to politics due to interests, due to people around us speaking politics, but a lot of it was actually research. So that's definitely been a big part of us carrying the research, the historical understanding, political science elements. So a lot of research that we've done ourselves, a lot of discussions, and thinking about stuff in a multi-perspective way, which is thinking about subjects from different ideological standpoints. That's how Suzerain became so nuanced. But we did not have any experts until Suzerain released. After Suzerain released, we had a lot of people from government, from politics, from different international organizations get really excited by it or really interact with it. And that's when we started having direct contact to these people. And it just now means that we can ask stuff about geopolitical questions. We can ask stuff about human rights. We can ask and directly communicate about how we're depicting stuff, and is there enough nuance compared to reality, etc. So we have right now way more communication and access points to actual politics, and direct communication points to actual politics. So it allows us to just make sure there is not an angle that we didn't cover. And we still are dominant on our own creativity and what we want to talk about and what we want to depict, of course. But it's always nice to have this feedback from people in government, in politics, in foreign policy, in different positions in society.
So what you're saying is governments came to you guys after you released the game because there was so much interest about it.
Yeah, and the doors opened in many different ways, and a lot of people in politics said that this depicts it as best as possible in such a such a simple form as a medium and as an experience, but the amount of stuff it depicts is a lot. So they really like this presentation and how it tackles the subjects.
Especially because it's fiction, so that you can be more nuanced about it and not step on any toes, as they say.
Yeah, one of the I think highlights was definitely where like the Albanian cabinet has visited us in Berlin.
Oh, really?
And the prime minister watched the trailer. I gave a pitch to the prime minister Edi Rama. That was really wild. Having chats with the interior, finance, etc. And they loved the game, as well as the mayor of Tirana and etc. So that was really a huge deal, as well as board of directors of the Human Rights Watch having visited us in our office this year, having chats about human rights in our universe. So there's a lot of cool stuff. We also have contacts with the German Foreign Ministry, who also have visited us and have checked some of our designs and where we asked feedback for. So yeah, it's been a real connection with actual politicians who love what we've built, and they also maybe feel the freedom of being able to do stuff in a fictional universe or interact with it without everything that comes from real world society.
Brilliant, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your question. That was very interesting. Okay, next up, now that I said interesting, is Interesting Man. Oh boy. Welcome to the stage.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, hello.
Hello, thank you for having me on. There are so many law questions I have, but I'll leave them for a later on town hall. The one linguistic/historical question that has been bugging me is that when you declare an emergency in the game, Mansoon Leke calls you a fascist. Now, as you know, fascism comes from the Italian word fasces, and obviously Italian doesn't exist. So I'm sort of curious, do you have an in-universe explanation for where the word fascism came from?
It's a really great lore question as well. So essentially, when we write stuff, sometimes we just reference real world things to keep it simple in the writing process, because developing specific lore for certain things while you were trying to hit these production targets becomes a big hindrance to hitting deadlines. But we table them for future discussions. So what we do is we kind of be like, okay, there's this element that we need to explore more and add more nuance, and then we slot it in to whenever the situation allows us as a company. So that's one point that was mentioned before. So one thing we've done with the Conformist, which we're integrating more to the universe now, is that we've started defining the ideological roots of the suzerain universe, and we've created our own ideologies. So we have like miraculism, we have maximism, and we have other things like voidism and other ideological elements that we're building. This actually came when the initial prototype of the Conformist had this very interesting design idea, and then that made us really explore how the ideological foundations of this universe came to be, and how they differ in some ways, but also how they're similar in some ways. So we started actually adding more and more of this to the game. We added to the codex, and we're going to start adding it more around. We're establishing it as like a lore element, and we're going to deepen it, which means that we will eventually get to certain terms or things like the one you mentioned to make sure it connects to our own lore. And even if it's supposed to mean a similar thing, is connected through our understanding of the meaning in our universe. So yeah, that's why that word is still there. And I can tell you that day a writer was writing that, so it was probably like 4 months before release, and they just needed to get that dialogue out. Or like something similar. So we operate under a lot of different time pressure with those things. But we really appreciate this attention to detail, because each of these points we note down and we try to tackle, and over time the universe becomes more detailed and nuanced and quality, really.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you for your question. So next up, I see Rumi Writer 5. So let me invite you to the stage.
Hello.
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 Well, thank you for having me here.
Of course.
One question I have is, are any characters or countries from the universe correlated to any real life countries? Like, I think it's pretty established. Like, Soul is like Colonel Soul is like somewhat related to Ataturk, and Rizzi is like somewhat connected to Saudi Arabia. So, like, is there any inspiration, like any other major inspiration you guys took?
I think like this is a deeper thing to discuss. So, I mean, every every person who creates is inspired or influenced by something, and it's really hard to pinpoint an exact thing. When we create, we generally try to make sure that it is related to something we want to talk about. As in, it has elements that we can relate to, but we also add stuff and change stuff that we want to highlight or that is coming from our own creativity. So while we understand, and I know, like, we all operate within a framework of information, and that means, like, of course, we reference stuff to each other, which is obviously in a game like Suzerain, people immediately want to find a connection to real world. What is the real world thing and stuff? But actually, part of our goal as a studio is to go the exact opposite way. Like, we have homages, we have Easter eggs, we have things, but our universe and what we build gets more interesting if it's more our creativity and our take, or things that are just unexplored or less explored, which deepens it. But it is really difficult to do that, and we found that sometimes there's not enough time or space to explore it. So I think from the shoe banging, you can imagine who Hegel has some inspirations from. And that's definitely one aspect that is quite, like, direct. As a country, I would say, and as a character, Tarkin Soul, we could debate for another hour, because the character has been developed and added even more nuance throughout the development of Suzerain. And there's going to be even more nuance in the Conformist that's coming for Tarkin Soul. So Tarkin Soul is going to be its own mega character in this universe. But I would say Tarkin Soul is way more complicated than one historical figure. I would analyze Tarkin Soul at a different layer. So that would be my comment on that. And there are multiple inspirations for the countries, and there are different inspirations for different topics for the countries, which means there could be an economic idea or a creative idea that's different than reality for some, whereas, like, the welfare system might look like something that we do have in our reality. So we mix things so much, and that's intentional. First off, it's creativity, and there needs to be something fresh. But also, of course, there needs to be something relevant. And it's that balance that we're trying to hit. Yeah, that would be a detailed answer as much as I could give.
Thank you so much.
Of course, thanks for the question.
Thank you very much. So before we move on to what I think is the last person, I would like to ask you a question on behalf of an audience member who cannot use voice right now. So the question is mostly lore based. Why does Swordland have a noticeably lower population than other countries like Lesbia and Volksland? And what is your favorite character? Ata, thank you.
Thanks for the question. So one of the things we did not want to do with Suzerain is to make the player experience be super powerful. In Suzerain, we try to explore how, like, checks on your power exist in a democratic system, and how you can, like, beat them or work with them and, like, deal with them. If we had a massive country that would be one of the strongest in the universe, then that would really remove a lot of the, like, limitations that make Suzerain really exciting. So that's one of the reasons why we want to make sure that the countries are not, like, super powerful, because it just reduces the amount of difficulties that we can introduce. And that's something why, like, that's around, like, the reason why Rizia also is not, like, it's an important country, like, countries that have potential but are not the dominant force. That's something we're a bit more exploring, actually. That would be my answer on that. And my favorite character, this is a question that gets asked often. I think David Vissi would be my favorite character because just how much this person has given for the country, and what they sacrifice through family, and they're pretty solid with you throughout the story. So I would say if there's few people I can rely on, David would be one. And I'll pick another one just to have a bit more diversity because I always pick David. I would say the other character that I really like, and this is also like a bit of an interesting one. I like Lilius a lot as well. So the interesting thing I like about Lilius is that Lilius actually is a very, very powerful figure who has a lot of influence over the country, but Lilius specifically uses the system against itself from within, and can be a very, very strong character in the suzerain experience. On Rizia, I would say, and I would add two characters from Rizia as well, because I think that will also add a bit more interesting things to the debate about characters. I love Titus a lot. Titus is actually one of my favorite characters. Titus, I think, is just super cool, and I, if I want to have a bodyguard, I would love Titus to be with me. That could be my bodyguard for life. And another character, I think, and this is also interesting, that's different in Morella, is Alma Sultana. I think Alma Sultana would be my other character from Rizia that I really enjoy, and that's another one that that's important for South Maricopan politics, especially for the CSP as well.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you very much. I'm very happy that you love Lilias. I do the same. She's my favorite. If I could play as Lilias, I would. This is a personal confession.
Yeah, it's gonna be
List
super.
it down as a future DLC idea.
It's gonna be super interesting. This is something a lot of people maybe might not know, but there is a specific reason why the conformist is taking place in the early 1930s, and that reason is not far removed from the origins of how the people we deal with in suzerain came to be, and what happened to them back then. So there's gonna be a lot of cool stuff there, deepening the lore.
All right, perfect. So let's move on with a few more audience questions. I would like to invite Koi Cabbage to the scene.
Let's do.
I think that was.
Yeah, let's do final 5 minutes or so, final questions, and then we can conclude the session. I'll do a quick final summary for the mobile update as well, so everybody gets up to date on the latest.
I agree. So let's proceed with Notuha. Hello.
Is the background loud?
No, it's all good.
No, okay.
This is a personal question, and I apologize for my English. And the question I just wanted to ask is, what made you guys personally want to create Suzerain? What inspired you to make Suzerain and everything else?
That's a great question. Thanks so much. And your English is just fine, no worries. I think one of the big things we noticed is there wasn't a government experience game that had a personal and psychological element. So we looked at, I was looking at Steam, and having worked at Paradox Interactive before and Hearts of Iron, and having we worked on some other strategy projects, one of the things I always felt was like there was a lack of this personal aspect. What happens to our mind, our psychology, our perspective when we're in a power position, when other people are pushing against us and we have to push back, or we don't, or we find diplomatic solutions. What is happening in the mind of a human in that situation? And when we looked around the world to all the leaders, we noticed that there was a lack of a perspective from an emotional and human side to this power position. So that initiated a lot of it. And at the time, it was like a time of big change when the idea came. Trump's first term was about to kick off. He was elected, and there was a lot of change in the world, and it felt like the world was just splitting between digital and real, and a lot of stuff was kind of disconnected. And the gaming world always wanted to avoid politics. A lot of games wanted to just say we're not political, etc. And we just went the exact opposite way. We're like, we are the political game company, but we wanted to create the nuance and the debate inside the game, to have multi-perspectivity, to have different ideologies, to have different expression, because we want these games to be an exploration of the political experience from a human perspective. And that was what motivated us to make Suzerain. Hope that covers
All
the
right.
question.
I hope that answered your question. Thank you very much. So I think we have a few more minutes for one final question. And I see that Koi Cabbage is asking to speak again, so I think I'm going to allow him to do so because he missed the invite last time.
Okay.
Oh, here you go. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. So this might have been asked earlier during the conference, but I might have missed it. But how are there any plans, consideration of expanding the Rizia DLC war mechanic to the main game, and how, if it was implemented, how would it be different since the base game doesn't allow as much direct-handed implementation of the armed forces compared to Rizia? And if us as players wanted to modify the game mechanics, how would you recommend going about it, since I'm not as familiar with gaming software?
Great questions. So we're taking things step by step. So we definitely are very focused on the 3.1 update, which is expanding some of the war features inside of it, but for Rizia. For Swordland, we understand that the war mechanic would be somewhat of a fit theoretically, but essentially it is a very different strategic layer with Swordland's war, and Swordland's experience was never designed to be a war experience. This is one of the reasons why we explored the topic in Rizia, because it is intertwined into the story. So we did a survey, and there was a lot of responses on this topic. It's definitely a subject we might visit, but we still have a lot on our plate right now, because one of the things we want to do as a company is to make sure that each experience has unique new elements that are tailored for that experience. So that way, when a DLC comes out, you know you're getting something fresh and new. There are learnings that we make between the DLCs, and there are features that are shared between all DLCs. But we want the novel features to be tailored. And this is a different approach compared to some other companies, because our stories and our mechanics are intertwined. This is the approach that's most strategically sensible for us. So about expanding the war mechanic within Rizia, this is still up to debate. This is something we've internally discussed, and we also gotten feedback from the survey as well. There's opportunity to expand the war in Rizia, but we still haven't committed to anything on that yet. 3.1 is massive, and we want to make sure that comes out well and everything's great about it as much as possible, and then we will assess where we are based on where the company is.
Thank you for your time, and best of luck with the development.
About
Hail
the modding,
Swordland and Glory Rizia.
yeah, thanks. About development, so we still don't have modding support, and this is something that's been a bottleneck on the community creation side. We're aware of this. That comes up every town hall as well. So the tools we use, they have a lot of challenges when it comes to modding support. So we need to have some technical work done on that part. So there's still a bit of work there that we need to do in the future. We still haven't done anything. We're not committing to anything about modding. So sadly, there's not much that could be done with what we have available. But maybe some point in the future we will have opportunities to create user-generated content, but no commitments, nothing I can say here. And yeah, we're thinking about the next few months here at the company to make sure everything goes well, and even the next few weeks right now. So thinking long term is very difficult right now.
Thank you.
Thank you. I guess we can slowly wrap it up. I'll just wrap it up with a final statement on the mobile topic. So yeah, before we end it, I want to quickly reiterate what mobile is about and why we're doing this and what's coming. So the mobile suzerain version will bring the Kingdom of Rizia DLC. It will actually make both stories standalone inside the app, which means that you can own Rizia and not own Swordland, which is something that is not possible on PC. And the idea is that on mobile, the Suzerain app will be an experience that you can actually check out between the different stories. The cool thing that we're bringing in is that you can actually own one and play the other one for free, which means you can test now how the story packs are for quite a bit without any type of obstruction. So it gives you flexibility to try out different Suzerain experiences within the same app. Some of the other stuff is we have a profile, we have an account. We're bringing in mobile only cloud syncs for your save games, which means now that you can actually transfer your save file from one mobile device to the other if you have a Torpor account. This is a huge thing we've done. Big shout out to the tech team, just been killing it in the last 6 months building this thing. It's our own custom solution, working with some existing service providers, but it's just very, very cool. So we have a Torpor account for the first time ever as a company, so that's a big milestone for us. Yeah, and the achievements on mobile have actually a very prominent role. They give you the most XP. They even sometimes give you story points. So yeah, so actually achievement hunting is rewarded on mobile, on freemium, and also premium. But if you own everything, like technically you don't need to do anything. It's just something you get. That's nice. Yeah, and mobile is going to be platform parity with PC, which means it's going to have the live database of 309 on PC. So everybody's going to get uplifted to the current state. Those who own Swordland full game on mobile right now will have direct full game access to Swordland in the new mobile update, which means you don't need to repurchase what you've purchased. You will only need to purchase, if you want to, the Rizia DLC. We're also adding something called the ticket system. This is for people who haven't purchased it, who want to try all experiences inside the app for a limited time. So this is not ownership, but it is like removal of ads for a certain time period. So we have 1 day, 3 day, 7 day, 30-day tickets, which discounts that allow you to try all experiences for that time without ads. So you can also just check out something without any obstruction for way cheaper than a premium price. This is another flexibility we're giving to people. So, you know, when you just want to have a look, but you don't want to spend 15 euros, 10 euros or whatever, you can just spend way less and just have a full-on experience without any obstruction. So yeah, we're super excited. There are profile pictures, there are daily rewards that we give out for people coming by every day. And it's all about rewarding your activity inside the game. So just playing the game will allow you to get cool stuff. Yeah, I think that covers most of it. So we're gonna have more clear dates on that very soon. Big shout out to the community testers on closed testing. It's been amazing the last 10 days or so to be testing this together, and their help has been immense. So thanks to them. Also a big shout out to the Google Indie Accelerator, who helped us get to this advanced stage of doing such a complicated experience on mobile, as well as the IGDA who is supporting us with a porting project, with this porting project, and this relaunch of mobile. Yeah, that covers all of it. Thank you to the deputy justices. Thank you to all the community members who've been a part of this today. Appreciate your questions. Appreciate your support. Glorious Axa Rizia, Axa Swordland.
Thank you. I think this was indeed an amazing Q&A. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I know that there are still many questions, and we will be back, surely, to answer more and keep all of you guys in the loop about what the team is doing. So that's all from me. I'm Morgan Vaskora.
Vector and Sista. Thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of the evening or wherever you are, morning, afternoon. Appreciate your support. See you next time. Keep an eye on the news. Appreciate it. All
And
the
vote
support.
Train 57.